Inside Hasbro with Agent H. Agent H is here to answer questions and we'll talk about what he can talk about from an undisclosed secret location, transmissioning live from somewhere within Rhode Island. Agent H, are you there?
I'm here. What's going on, guys?
What's up, man? It's good to have you.
I am honored and pleasured to be the first inductee in our R.O.C spotlight, and I am thankful and I'm excited. Let's get this thing going, man.
Yeah,
Shit.
man. Excellent. Now, we know that you are afforded certain information and tidbits that you need to keep confidential. So, when are we getting the MP Mirage in Galvatron? I can't wait anymore. All right, I promised I wouldn't. I promised I wouldn't.
Listen, I wish I can give you more information. I'm out of the loop in that one too, man. I mean, I know certain thing about Galvatron and Hound, but Mirage is right now. Mirage is definitely a Mirage.
He's invisible. Well,
he's invisible right now.
Hopefully he's there, and he'll be tangible one day.
Hopefully Takara will get out of their asses and get us these figures by the next 2 to 4 years, hopefully. So
that I'm glad you said that, because that's something I'd like to touch on, the process, how it works. There are so many of us that wonder, when can Hasbro do this? Why can't Takara do that? And I definitely want to get to that. But first, want to talk about Agent H. Who is Agent H? What does he do? Tell us.
Well, Agent H is a lowly employee up in northern England area in the company H. Basically, my job is I do doodles for a living. So basically, I will design certain figures for the Marvel brand regarding either Marvel Legends or within the movie line, the Marvel Cinematic Universe, the 4 and 6 year olds categories, like those web crawlers and web shooters, even to the part of Marvel Legends, the cosplay series from the Captain American shield, Iron Man's helmet, Thor's hammer, etc., etc. So it really all depends on what they have me to do. But at this moment time, my position is just a figure designer. So I am the beginning of the designing process of the toys that you see on the shelves. So basically, take my pen and paper, tablet, draw the image. The original process was I would draw it on a tablet, draw the image on this scale base, turn around from front, back, side to sides of the image. Once the higher ups approve it, then a sculpt artist will take my images and will start using clay, whatever medium they use, to make a 3D model of my figure. But nowadays the process is different. We started doing 3D rendering. It's much faster than using sculpt artists, and when you get more details as well when you have 3D rendering. So, and as well, it's, we can cut certain processing that we have done back in the past to make the figures, more realistic, more detailed, and as well faster to reach the factories overseas.
Okay. Now, let me just get out of fanboy mode for a second, because you just blew me away. It sounds like you basically have the dream job for probably about 99% of people that will listen to this.
Well, it could be a dream job, but it's a hard job as well, because you have restrictions, you have budgets, you have see, deadlines are the killer. Sometimes the deadline, they say you have a month, sometimes you may have 2 weeks, you may have a day, and within it. And sometimes if you finish your design close to the deadline, then you may have like 5 hours to make 50% changes of your design before it goes to the next process. So it's a dream job, but it's a lot of work.
So it's safe to say that you're a passionate collector?
Yes, I am.
I know you. I know you
I
are.
Yes, I've been collecting, oh my goodness, since junior high. I would say junior high, high school officially. There's a certain stage when we start playing with our toys, and then we stop playing with them and just put in one of the shelves and start collecting them. And I'll say by junior high, mid high school is when I became an official collector.
Wow. When did you know that you wanted a position like you have? When did you first see that?
All by chance, Brian. It was when I went to School of Visual Arts in New York City to go do illustration and animation. I was putting myself through college, but they raised the tuition, so I couldn't afford it. So I had to drop out. But I was applying for scholarships, other programs in New York City. You know how it is here. There's
Right.
like scholarships out the ass you could just find, just if you fill in the criteria. So thank God Helen Rubinstein Foundation gave me a scholarship to go to SUNY or CUNY schools, which anybody who's doesn't live in New York doesn't know. SUNY is State University of New York and CUNY is City University of New York. And those are schools of which in New York City and New York State. And I decided to pick Fashion Institute of Technology in New York City, and they had toy design. And I had switched my majors to fashion and toy design. And from faith chance, that's how I fall into this position because I wasn't planning to be a toy designer. I wanted to be a comic illustrator or animator. But since I couldn't, I was thinking, let me just finish college. And then once I finish college, maybe I could get my foot in the door and maybe, do some go to extracurricular activity schools and finish my illustration and animation and get a degree in that later on. But Dave Honor is a good, one of my mentors who I met around this time was working for Toy Biz doing, other Marvel figures and Marvel Legends back for the Toy Biz era. And I fell upon that as an intern doing not Marvel Legends yet, but other Marvel animated figures like the X-Men,
Right.
Spider-Man series, other because Toy Biz had a whole bunch of Marvel lineup. That's what Marvel had owned Toy Biz or Toy Biz owned Marvel at the time in the
Right.
90s, early 2000s and stuff like that. And I just fall into it and learn the process, learn how to design action figures. And not just only action figures, other toys, water guns, Mr. Potato Head type stuff. Just any weird toy you could think of in the 90s, I'm probably, know the process of it. Like Gak. I worked on fucking Gak because you read that shit from Nickelodeon, And yeah, so it was a great experience before learning a lot from other sculpt artists, other designers from Toy Biz about the process, and it's just same thing, just drawing and art, and just making your doodles and drawings to come to life.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So you probably came up with was Jesse Falcon and
Jesse Falcon, the White Stall, Dave Honor,
yeah.
all those guys. Yeah, that was that era. Then, from the mid 2000s, that's when Marvel bought back themselves from Toy Biz, and then
Right.
canceled Toy Biz. Or they canceled a license from Toy Biz. Toy Biz was still running, selling like WCW action figures and other miscellaneous figures at the time. I think TNA was doing TNA action figures as well. A lot of wrestling figures and other girl stuff. I can't remember the other lines because I bounced at that time. I think about 2004 I left. And that's when I first officially worked with Hasbro. And before I even was working on the Marvel Legends, I was working on rinky dink stuff, which I can't really talk about at this stage right now. But I was working on the 3/4 inch Marvel figures, and that was the line that I am proud of. After when I was doing Marvel Legends for Toy Biz, Hasbro said, well, even though you're a good guy, but you're not really in the stage of Jesse Falcon, the White Vonner, and all of those guys, I had to earn, I was a rookie. So
Right.
they put me in smaller figure lines, and then when they started to do the Marvel stuff, they said, well, D, you have experience, and you can start doing 3/4 inch figures, and we'll see how you go from there. And the rest is history.
That's amazing. I mean, I didn't realize you were involved at that level with the vast product line that the Big H has. And I think people tend to look past the fact that there's more than just the action figures. Hasbro isn't just there to appease the collectors, gasp.
Mm-hmm.
Toys are for kids. Who would have thought?
It's a toy company. In the end of the day, it's a toy company.
One of the things I really wanted to talk to you about, and I think it's important. I know in the R.O.C universe and the collector universe out there in general, we're all adults or try to be anyway.
Yes.
And, we're passionate about the properties that we grew up with and we still collect now. Star Wars, G.I. Joe, Transformers, you name it, they're all there. But we tend to have, especially with Transformers, we have these expectations of what we want to see.
High expectations. Yes.
Yes, high expectations. And it's hard. We're all like grown kids,
Yes. Mm-hmm.
man child, so to speak.
Yes. Yes. Some unfortunately a little bit spoiled, but yes.
Well, that's one of the reasons why we wanted to do this feature.
Right.
Now, we were talking a few weeks back at a convention,
Yes.
and we were standing in a particular area in a booth, and there were some collectors behind us holding a third-party transforming item.
Yes.
And basically the discussion was, oh, look at the articulation, look at the paint, look at the scale size, yada yada. Hasbro should be able to do this. Why can't they do that? And that's when we started talking about maybe doing a feature to more or less educate everybody and kind of, shore up what the differences are between a major corporation like Hasbro versus some third-party company, an overseas company, the different rules, the parameters, the constraints. And I'd like to talk about how that works, what the process is like on any given line, and kind of just put it out there. And then we can kind of talk about what we see in the third-party world and draw some comparisons and the differences between them. I think that's really important for everybody to see and understand.
Okay. I wish I had my bottle of Jack Daniels right about now. This is the stage when we need to drive now. Because see now, where to begin?
Let's start with pick any line you've been involved with and right at the beginning. Anything.
No, it's not about the line, but it's about the process and exactly what we did discuss about a couple of weeks ago at that particular convention. Now, let me just first say Hasbro has the power, the technology, the will to give you quality third party quality action figures. But the question is, Brian, if we make you let's use Jazz for a perfect example,
Mhm.
the perfect Jazz, and we put these in the toy stores, unless we put them in Toys R Us, Amazon, Target, and Walmart, and and if one of these Transformers fans goes see Masterpiece Jazz and drools at it, and then looks at it and they see the price tag of let's say 130, okay? I'm just gonna say it's a ridiculous price, but a lot of third parties between them, depending on the type of transformer, is worrying between $70 to $225, correct?
Yeah,
So let's say a mid-range transformer deluxe car bot would be $85, right? On third party, would you say that?
I would say so.
So now for a major retailer like Hasbro, we'll have to tack that down, attack another $20 on that because it has to cover import taxes, and all these other stuff else. And that's why the stores and because I'm sorry, I'm correcting myself. The retailer will have to tack down the imports, the import tax coming from overseas, or even if Hasbro decides to do an American version itself, we have to pay extra. Now, you think that Transformer fan is going to pay $125 for that Jazz at a Target or at a Toys R Us? They're going to look at us mad because a perfect example is when we gave them a Hasbro when released MP3 Bumblebee for the price that they're supposed to sell it in Toys R Us. Everybody called Hasbro insane for that.
Right.
But if a X Transbots will make that same Bumblebee for the same price, praise X Transports for giving them what they want. See, the problem is that they anytime when it comes to releasing a toy, they see Hasbro as the kids' toy store, and they want the kids' toy prices for it, but not willing to pay collector prices, for a Hasbro product. But they will pay collector prices for a third-party price for a product, and that's where the main problem is. We give you what we want, but you guys won't pay the price for what you want. You know what I mean? And that's the issue. And
Yeah.
again, and we understand that completely because we are a toy company. So it's hard for a toy company to sell you adult collectible products when when the consumer won't pay the toy collector price for a toy company price, and that's always going to be the issue.
I remember as a GI Joe fan, I
Mm-hmm.
attended the Joe Con religiously for many years, and I remember all the Joe fans would sit at the panel, and Daryl DePriest and his team would come in,
Mm-hmm.
and the panel would start, and we would all just, there would be an outrage. How come there are no more first gen versions of the characters? And we want vehicles, and we want the Terradrome and the flag, and yada yada, all the way through. And finally, they announced the DTC line, direct to consumer. I think it was. They
Yes.
announced they were going to try to release the vehicles, the Sky Striker. The place erupts. Everybody's happy. It was laid out in a great way. I thought it was a great first step. And then I remember, the Sky Striker hits retail. I want to say it was maybe $80. I can't remember the
About
exact number.
70, 65 to 85 around that price.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And it was an improvement from the original sculpt. Came with
Mm-hmm.
a figure. It was fantastic. It was beautiful. It was everything and more that we wanted as collectors. And it just peg warmed, shelf warmed, and eventually wound up getting just clearanced out.
Mm-hmm.
And it was rough to see because as collectors we put all this heat on Hasbro and the design team and make it, we'll buy it. And it just seemed like
They
it
didn't
wasn't
buy it.
there.
They
We
didn't
didn't buy
buy
it.
it because and then when we did surveys and asked why they didn't buy it, and it came back down to price. So it's
Right.
like, so when we have to scale back on articulation or detail or quality of accessories or even just quality of the plastic, you guys complain, and we're trying to give you guys the middle ground, but what is the fine ground, for, a price range, for what you guys want, and then also for us to, make it happen. Because, collectors once have this kind of delusion in their head, I hate to say, Brian, that they look at the old days in the 80s when GI Joes were $5 or $3 a pop, you know what I mean? And
Right.
then, those KB toy store prices, and expect today when inflation hits and the days and times has changed, they expect GI Joes to be that price again. It's not going to be that time anymore. Transformers is not going to be the old $5, $10, $20. For I remember that what Optimus Prime was $25 one time when I bought it
Yeah.
when I was a kid. You know what I mean? Those days are over. You can't get those prices again. And I wish we can. I wish we could. I wish inflation doesn't exist, so we can give you a freaking fans toy quality Optimus Prime or Shockwave for the price that it could be affordable for everybody. So that's why collectors need to understand. That's why there's different tiers of what you can afford. We try to cover. That's if you notice of Marvel Legends, we try to cover all the base. Even for Marvel figures, we try to cover all the base for everybody. So if you can't afford a $20 figure, there's a $10 figure. If you
Right.
can't, and if you can't afford now we made like a $60 12-inch figures because people who like Mezco and Hot Toys and the 12-inch scales figures, Hasbro started making those within the $40 to $60 scale range, and if you can afford those are great. And if you can't afford them, we have the $20, $25 Marvel Legends figures, those are the 6-inch. They're scales. But if you can't afford them, I don't think this collecting hobby is for you. It's like you guys want us to chop prices down for you guys to collect. but it's just not expensive hobby. You know, I don't hear people say that shit about Hot Toys when they
Right.
release a $200 Batman figure, $300 Iron Man figure that lights up. Is it take my money now? But if Hasbro release a Iron Man figure, 12-inch Iron Man figure, and it's $60, and you know, digital paint, all points of articulation, the great figure, $60, they still scream bloody water that we're ripping them off. But they will buy an Iron Man figure from Mezco for $65 and $85 in almost in the same quality. And they say, oh, it's the greatest thing since sliced bread.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I feel you on that,
So
and
I'm
you're right.
sorry if I feel like I'm ranting, but you know, that's the how ironic and how ironic that and how crazy the fan base is, because it's like, you want this, we give it to you, and you guys spit on it, and then you praise somebody else because it's not Hasbro. I believe, Brian, I think sometimes it's cool to hate on the big corporation, you
Yeah.
know. And you know, it's like when you see, and it doesn't matter if it's technology, like Microsoft was the bad corporation back in the 90s. Now in this day and age, it's Apple's the major corporation now, you know, that all
Right.
the tech people hate because of the whole iPhone this and iPhone that and blah blah blah. So now when the toy company is, Hasbro is one of the biggest toy companies in the United States, so we're gonna be the man because Mattel is not doing so great. You don't see Mattel, you know, putting up movies like Hasbro has in the past 10 years. You know, Hasbro has the partnership with Disney, with Star Wars, and with Marvel and everything else, you know. So
Right.
we're the big corporation now. We're the big guy now. And you know, unfortunately. And so people like to hate on the big guy because that's the there's been like that since the dawn of time. So we're gonna be the evil corporation that don't care. We're gonna be Corporation H, or you know, Company H as it is. And you know, I don't mind being an agent of H because you know, I'm doing what I love, and I'm producing stuff that people are happy. If I can get 5 person, or at least one person, Brian, to say, "Yo, this figure is great. I love it," I'm happy. You know, because I know I'm not going to please everybody, because you
Right.
can't please everybody at once. And that's what sometimes, you know, as a designer, what I learned a couple of years ago, that you can't please everybody, and don't take it personal, because you know, a part of me is in the design and in the process. And then when I see some fanboy come, oh, this sucks, man. It doesn't have wrist swivel and or ankle rocker, or you know, or the head doesn't turn a certain way, or the paint got blotted in the corner of his hairline. You know, oh, this sucks. Well, then you make a figure. How, you know, we're in a day and age where there's GoFundMe, there's Kickstarter. Make a fucking figure, and you tell me,
Right.
you know, how it works for you, you know, and you see that you're going to be coming with limitations and process and deadlines and delays, and there's going to be accidents that's going to happen, and sometimes shit happens in the factory, that there's going to be quality control issues. It's all part of the game. I mean, like, even what can I ask what you do for a living, Brian?
I'm in the construction industry, so I work with design specialty products, architectural products, and such on a
Oh
regular
my God.
basis.
So you know what the fuck I'm talking about then. Let's
Exactly, my
say
friend. Yes.
you designing something, right? And let's say you need like a special type of window being made, right? Or frame for a
Yes.
window. And then you have to order it from another company across seas, right? And
Yes.
then and you say, okay, I may need this by in 3 months' time. Sure, I'm gonna get it for you, right? And then they call you in 2 months' time and it's almost close to the deadline and say, hey, it's Mr. Salvatore. I'm sorry to tell you that our machines over here got explosion and the metal wasn't up to par,
Right.
and it's strained and the frame is not strong enough to hold the structure that you need, and we need another 2 months to fix it and give it to you right. And there's nothing in your power. You said, fuck, okay, do what you got to do. I'll tell the other people we're gonna have a little bit delays, and it happens in the action figure business too.
Right.
You know,
It's business.
it's business. It's part of business. And fortunately, fanboys don't get that, and they scream bloody murder when when we don't produce an exact time frame what they want, because we have to be on their schedule.
Yeah, we are definitely as fanboys demanding.
Mhm.
We are an instant gratification demographic.
Yes.
And speaking of demographics, if we were to walk into a Hasbro board meeting, just broken down simply, what is
Mhm.
the number one target demographic that Hasbro caters to?
The the main demographics is boys between 5 and 15. That is the major demographics for these action figures. Then afterwards, it will be girls between the ages of 4 to I think 4 to 12, because unfortunately, I hate to say it, women mature faster than us guys. So
Mhm.
they put the Barbie doll down in by 12 years old. So after 12, they really don't wanna we don't kind of focus on them. But we do take care of the little girls and the boys. And then unfortunately, fanboys, I hate to say this, the adult collectors are maybe third on that list, because you gotta understand in this day and age, it's interactive is the number one, because everything's is apps and video games
Right.
that. Then is the boys, then is the girls, then is the dog collectors. But within that same range with the boys collection, then we know we look out for the dog collectors, and we know it's the parents who are buying the toys for their kids. So
Right.
also we know that some of these adult collectors are parents, and they want to have a real business relationship with your kids and with you for the next 30 years. So it's like the same thing, like you have your daughters, and hopefully like when they get older, they want to become collectors. I remember, I used to do this with my dad when we were kids. I want to
Right.
I want to pass this down to my kid, and show them what I did with their grandpa, when he was around and stuff like that. And it goes on, et cetera, et cetera. That's how we keep, we keep it in tradition of passing the generation down. We want that family base. We are a family based toy company that we know family is important, toys are important, your kids are important, and also the adults are important too. So if you're an adult collector, we all looking out for you with the Marvel Legends and with the Star Wars Black Series, and with the Transformers Generations, and also with sometimes the American release of the US release of Hasbro Masterpiece, Transformer Masterpiece. We look for you guys because we know how important these toys were for you guys 30 years ago when we were kids, and now
Right.
we are parents. And we try so much, within, Toys R Us, or within the Comic Cons or comic conventions, or even currently with HasCon, it try to, give you guys the things that you want, like the OGI Joe Missile Command Base, Cobra Missile Command Base, or the Revolutions box set with the Transformers and the Visionaries. Trust me, if I had more power in the company, I've been pushing out cops and visionaries already. For me, just for me. And other, or even fucking humanoids, because I have a lot of designs and a lot of and a lot of thoughts and images and notes and sketches and proposals that I have, that maybe one day in the next 2 to 5 years that may happen. Because if you, that the collecting market is growing every year. Every year it gets stronger and stronger, and the adult collector has a little bit more power. Like we listen, but as well we listen, we want you guys to, it's a compromise. It's a give and take relationship. We give you as much as we can give you guys that you want, but you got to be understandable with the constraints, that from a design point of view, or the tooling point of view, or budget point of view, that not everything you guys want is possible. I've talked about, now since it's happening, I talked about this a couple of years ago with the R.O.C under the Hangouts, that Marvel Legends, we're going to be doing the Marvel Legends 2 packs. And Lord and behold, we got you guys the 2 packs. You guys
Yes.
wanted the army builders. I said, let me talk to them about army builders. And what I told you, like, patience. Army builders coming. Hydra 2 packs. Boom. You're going to get, we gave you the Shield 2 packs. Boom.
Right.
And then now you're going to get, hopefully, the Wild Dogs, the Wild Packs. Wild Dogs? Yes, the Wild Dogs. Um, the Hellfire Club, and those guys. So hopefully, we're on the right path to give you the things that you guys want, within the constraints that Hasbro has. Because if you were able to be in a meeting and see the price that we have to pay for plastics and the oil for the factory machine to pay for to make those machines to make the molding, plus the
Yeah.
metal for the tooling. I mean, this stuff, Brian, for
Mhm.
engineering and construction. You know, the tooling to make the molds for the figures and stuff like that. That's not cheap either. And the delivery and because it's overseas, you have to go on the freight boats and everything. All that is money that we have to pay, and then sometimes it comes out of our pockets as a major corporation, but as well the retailers have to pay for it too. And then as well, if you guys pay for it. So if you guys pay and these figures does well, we're able to do the things that we're able to do. Because now, I mean, the Marvel Legends has been producing fire lately, and I am
Yeah.
proud to say that we have been producing fire because we are able to, because as the fans are buying it, they're liking it, and it's acceptable with it. And once you see that, once it all goes back into the company. It's not like, the fat, I mean, of course, there can be some fat cats and stuff like that. But once we get the money and the popularity of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, the movies and the tie-ins and all these other stuff that goes into it, helps produce a better figure in the end. Sometimes technology hasn't caught up yet. We're in the cusp of the technology with 3D printers and 3D Studio Max and 3D rendering, and we can do things that we couldn't do before. We are venturing in a new territory with a lot of new technology in the toy business to give you guys quality products, and it
Right.
takes time. It takes time, because it's like when we were kids, we made the best of what we had. Because let's be honest, Brian, even though Transformers were great, they had the shittiest articulation back
Yeah.
in the 80s, But we made do with what we had, and they were great. Now, 30 years in the future, these toys are I mean, remarkable, I could say,
Yeah.
comparing. If you put a generation now, Power Prime, or even a what is it, this one, Combiner Wars, or Titans Returns Optimus Prime with the original G1 Optimus Prime. Come on,
Yeah. It's
there's
no
no
comparison.
comparison.
I hear you.
And
I'm with you on that.
and guys you can call it and scream waffles and Eggos all to bloody death, all you fucking want. But in the end of the day, Waffle Prime is going to be better than G1 Prime. It's just
Right.
technology. It's history.
It's an
It's time.
evolution of
It's
sorts.
evolution.
Right.
Exactly. So, but we have to do the waffles, and because of plastic. Because if you give me solid plastics like third party or put die cast metal in it, are you guys going to pay for it? Are you
I,
going to willing to pay for the extra price for that?
I want to get to that in a minute, but you
Okay.
you hit on a couple of major things just to go back for a minute.
Okay. Sure.
So we have three target demographics. Number one, the boys,
Hmm.
not male adults,
Not male adults,
boys.
boys.
So would you say that's 50% of the target demographic?
I would say roughly about 50% or more.
50%.
I would say
Okay, so then
50%. Yeah.
number two was the girls,
Yes.
same age range. Would you say that's 30%?
I would say about 30%. And that's
Okay,
about,
so
now we
that's
already hit 80% right there.
we've hit 80%. So now you've got the miscellaneous. I would think other items that fall under that umbrella, the other products, and then maybe what? There's the 10% adult collector demographic. We fit in at the very bottom.
Bottom, unfortunately. But with that in mind, Brian, and as well, Hasbro understand that the adult collector important is important to us,
Right.
not just, money wise, as just like I said, the history of Hasbro. Hasbro used to keep the IP property close to their chest, Brian. And I mean, look at them now. You have used like all the stuff they've been licensing from Loyal Subjects to 3A, what was the company when we saw that big old Optimus Prime over there that's doing the
Yeah,
Megatron
the
boss?
MAS-01.
That MAS, well, yeah,
Yeah,
they're licensing these up because they know that, okay, if we as Hasbro can't give you guys the adult collectibles that you want and not our constraints, if another company wants to lease this license and make it for you guys, not within and not taking money away from Hasbro to
right,
compete with us, by all means, that's what we've been doing. This is the day and age of the adult collector, and I'm part of that. And I agree with that. The adult collector should be a little bit higher up there too, because the adult collector have kids and they want their kids to maybe say, hey, you know what? Hasbro's a great company, and I want my kids to buy from Hasbro too. And they understand that, and they're trying. They are trying. That's why they see that's why they still have the GI Joe Collectors Club, which unfortunately next year will be the last year for it, and hopefully
right.
maybe they'll be do something else. And they have the subscription service over there with the Fun Publications. I mean, unfortunately, Fun Pub dropped the ball on the Transformers license, and that's why Hasbro had to take it away from them. And but for the past 20 years, Fun Pub was been doing the bot cons and the Joe cons and the subscription service and everything else, for those adult collectors, for those fans. And so we're listening, and we're opening our little chest of
Yeah.
treasures and leasing out these other stuff, our IPs, for other companies to do something with it, so the adult collectors can get their Hasbro fix per se.
No, that's great. And I want to put this out there for everybody that is listening to this feature. This is not meant to be, the quote unquote Hail Hasbro, shout out to
This
Shattencast.
is not a puff piece.
Yes, this is an informative piece because it is important as the rising adult collector demographic to understand what we're dealing with, what we're buying, and where it's going to go in the next few years. And we're going to be doing other features in the future that are going to cover other aspects of the third party world. And you'll start to see how the pictures and the dots all connect. So today we're focusing on Hasbro. So basically, Hasbro is, we're a small piece of the big Hasbro puzzle. They're listening. They're trying to appease us. They're trying to expand with pop culture, with what we're asking for, our demands as rabid fanboys. Um, and I think you covered as far as Transformers go. There's the masterpiece line, for the hardcore, higher tier, higher end collector.
Yes.
You've got mass retail as the next bracket down, and then you've got some of the other items. You could say like the 5 points of articulation type figures that are meant for the lower price tier, maybe even for the kids. A good way to get new collectors started into the hobby. Okay. Now I hear what you're saying. How we always complain. I'm just generalizing. We as the collector, devil's advocate, we want more, more, more. We want to pay less, less, less. So Tyler, shout out to Toy Detox, was here in Two Guys Studio earlier, and he
I
had
saw his shadow.
yeah, yeah, he was drooling over the Fans Toys Terminus Gigantus,
Oh, Mega
aka
Supreme.
Mega Supreme.
That's a big baby right there.
Oh my lord, this thing it was
The
amazing.
toddler.
Yeah, I mean, pictures can't do it justice. You have to hold it, play
Yeah.
with it, move it around. And I think he was talking about he paid $350 for it shipped.
Yeah, that's about
So
$330 for that's so base price $330, $20 ship. That's
right,
times
and it
yeah.
came in two parts, two
Yes.
separate shipments. It was not available all at one time.
No.
It was only available through online ordering. It comes from a third party company only, and you've either got to buy it from an online e-tailer, one of the bigger companies, or you buy from a smaller dealer, third party company through Facebook or one of the other online groups and such. But the point is, I would say that was probably, I don't know, from what do you think? How many pieces do you think Fans Toys made of that?
My rough estimate will be 500 to 600 pieces.
500 to 600 pieces.
Yes.
500 to 600 pieces.
Yes.
So just to put that in perspective, I think Walmart has something like 4,000 stores at this point. I haven't checked in
Correct.
a while,
About you could say about less for more or
right?
less. Yeah.
So if Walmart's got 4,000 stores, give or take, that means Target probably also has 4,000 stores, give or take, because they
Yes.
are rapidly competitive in all markets, most markets throughout North America.
Yes.
So then, we look at Hasbro. Hasbro is a majority of the business, right? I roughly maybe 70%
Of the
is
toy business, I would say next to Mattel.
okay. And how much of that business is at mass retail, brick and mortar? Rough estimate. What do you
You know
think?
what? I would say 80 to 95%. I mean, you will find a Hasbro product almost in mostly any market that will sell a toy store. And if it's not a Marvel Legends, if it's not a Star Wars, it may be a My Little Pony, it may be a G.I. Joe, it may
Right.
be another form of a Spider-Man action figure line, or like the Guardians of the Galaxy animated series, or some form of Hasbro product, even from, and that's action figures, Brian. Not thinking about
Right.
girls' toys, like For Real Friends, or Littlest Pet Shop, or Tonka Truck Toys, Play School, stuff like that.
Yeah.
Rescue Box, Rescue Heroes, including board games. Oh my God, Parker Brothers, Milton Bradley, we all own those. Those are all Hasbro board game stuff.
Right.
If you see a Jenga, sorry, Monopoly, and that place, that's a Hasbro product. So it's not just only action figures we make. We make a plethora of different stuff for family entertainment. So you're gonna find a Hasbro product in a Ross. You're gonna
Right.
find it in a TG Maxx, Walgreens, Walmart, J.C. Penney's, even in a brick and mortar store, Dark Side Toys maybe, or running a comic book store, your local comic book store. You're gonna find a Hasbro product. It's because it's everywhere, and that's so. Just imagine that. We have to cater to all these different kind of consumers, not just the 10% of the adult collector.
Well, first and foremost, you have to cater to the board of directors,
Collectors
the
and
shareholders,
the shareholders.
publicly owned company.
Exactly.
Whereas if we look at, I don't want to say competition per se, because it's not necessarily
But
apples to apples
competition, yeah, but you can say, like,
competition.
say, Make Toys. Make Toys is a privately owned company, and they can,
Right.
fortunately, and they do what the fuck they want. And
Yeah.
we'll talk about that in a minute. How third party is the Wild West over there in the Asian markets. So these smaller companies or private companies don't have to answer to shareholders and the board of
Right.
directors and the CEO and all this other stuff. And they don't have a list of protocols or rules and regulations, and they don't have to follow by state or city, state law, government law, and then mandates and stuff like that. And these are all things that we have to
Yeah.
follow by. Because let's say you guys wanted a die cast action figure of Jazz, right? But we can't make it in a mass product for kids, because the paint alone and the die cast alone, it's not going to be safe for
Right.
kids.
Right.
Because we are marketing for kids in a certain age group, so we're not allowed to. So right there again, no matter scrap. Because remember 30 years ago, we used to have the cops with the cap guns and shit like that with the
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
and then remember the monster bots from Transformers in the late 80s with the sparks that spark fire and shit,
Yeah. Yeah.
We can't do those shits
Rocket
anymore,
firing
guys.
Boba Fett,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
Bionic 6 diecast. Ah.
Yeah, we can't do that anymore, because when the Japanese, the Asian markets who made it, they put lead in that shit because it was cheaper and quicker to do it, and the kids were eating the paints, and the paints broke off, and they
Right.
were getting killed and choking on that stuff. So there was no more. We couldn't do it no more. So plastic is the way. So third party markets, because see, third parties also, they don't sell to kids. they sell to adult
Right.
collectors. So third party could put the sparks in there, they can put the metal in there, and they can put fucking radiation to make the shit glow in the dark if they want, because they say they're gonna put a little note, hey, maintain radiation to glow in the dark, buy on your own risk. So now the adult collectors say, oh, I might get radiation poisoning, but it's gonna glow in the dark, sweet on my detox shelf. So fuck it, I'm gonna buy it anyway, and that's their choice. And if they get radiation poisoning, they can't sue Make Toys because we let them know, and that's the deal. But if we do it, we get sued millions, bro.
Yeah. No, if somebody's kid swallows like an alternate head for Fans Toys Coot,
We're done.
yeah,
It's a wrap.
nobody even knows who the fucking CEO of Fans Toys is at this point.
And he could change the name.
Yes.
And it would be Toys Fan.
Fun Toys.
The Fun
Yeah.
Toys. And he's back in business 2 or 4 months later, you know?
But if it's Hasbro, you can go on to Hoover's or you can go on to LinkedIn and find the CEO, the CFO, the legal counsel. It's all public. You know who it is. It's public information record.
Yep,
And
exactly.
within 7 days, there's a lawsuit filed. Yeah, it's a different set of parameters.
And that's why we play it safe than sorry, you know.
Yeah, no, I hear you. So we've got major corporation, and it's not even like Hasbro has to worry about one property or one line or even one product. It's
hundreds.
Yeah, hundreds. Yeah. So to take again something like Fans Toys Omega Terminus, to make something like that, it would have to be a piece that would have a consistent, specific profit level to allow it to be distributed at mass market, brick and mortar, Target, Walmart, Walgreens, Toys R Us, the whole thing, all the way down the line, would have to be at a price point that made sense to mass market that, not 600 pieces, more probably like, I don't know, something that size, 60,000 pieces, right? To satisfy, if not more.
More, probably a little, I would say 65 to 100,000 pieces. And if you want to cover all the markets, because not just the United States market, there's Hasbro Canada, there's Hasbro UK, there's Hasbro Australia, there's Hasbro Asia. So those are, and imagine those fans and those collectors and those consumers who buys, one or many of the Hasbro IP properties that they own.
Right.
It's a big scale. When, while Make Toys or Fans Toys will, make 600, and that may have to go into all over the world, but it's a niche market. They are covering a niche market of adult collectors when Hasbro is trying to cover everybody.
Right. They're trying to do a little bit
And everybody is a
to make
broad,
everybody
right?
happy.
Yeah, it's the family, from there's your little Jimmy to Sally to Susan the wife and Jim the husband. We try to do it for everybody to be happy. From family game night to video games to action figures from Play-Doh to easy bake ovens. All of that stuff people need to realize. We just can't drop one IP property for another one because a fan wants that.
Right.
Unfortunately, that's not how the business works.
Well, when you look at what we as collectors call competition for Hasbro, I mean, with the Transformers line, obviously there's, I don't know, a good 50 different third-party companies, some of which are the same groups, just under different names and such. Now with, if you're a G.I. Joe fan, there's been a little crossover of such with the Kickstarter, the Articulated Icons 6-inch line.
Yes.
But even then, I love the line. I love the product, but I think it took 2 years to launch.
Yeah, 2.5 years because again, because they wanted perfection, and which they did, but unfortunately, perfection takes time and a lot of effort, and unfortunately, factory issues and quality control and delays upon delays upon delays. So if you want it right away, you're going to wait. If you want it, if you want it right away with the perfect quality and everything, you're going to wait. But if you just want it now and you don't care about quality and you don't care about articulation and you just want it, and you don't care about paint and application and stuff like that, we can do that for you. We can give you a piece of shit figure you want, you know. And then are you gonna blame us for what you guys wanted? Or are you gonna be patient? You know, there's another line that kind of helps, you know, the GI Joe fix that I really love, and that's the Marauders Task Force line. And that
Yeah,
was the Kickstarter campaign a few years back, and now they have their own little website and they sell their own stuff, and it's very modular with their weaponry and the figures. So if you want to make your soldier, you can make a GI Joe based on whatever character and stuff like that. You
very
can do
innovative.
that. Yeah, but the great thing about it, they're not doing it in a sense that they're stepping on Hasbro's toes on you know, as in IP properties or copyright stealing or whatever like that. These are just modern day military figures that maybe you could make them look like a Viper or Cobra
Right.
officer or Duke or Flint or whoever you may choose it to be. You can, you know, that's your creative aspect in your mind. You can make it whatever you want it to be. So there's, yeah, there's, you know, there's companies like that. But, you know, but again, it that didn't happen for Marauders overnight,
Yeah.
and also people were willing to pay what they and they had the patience to wait to get perfection. And even the first time around, it wasn't perfect. You know, Marauder John had some issues and here and there, but over time he learned. It's the learning process, and as well, Hasbro is still fucking learning today too. You know, Marvel Legends wasn't this great figure line overnight. You know,
Right.
we had hits and misses. Like just every other company will have hits and misses. You know. And I'm lucky to say, knock on wood. Luckily, we've been having more hits than misses. I'm sorry, Duke. I just woke up my dog for knocking on wood.
Oh,
Go back to bed, buddy. So, but yeah. Anyway,
sorry to wake you.
he's good. He's going back to bed. So, but yeah. So back to that. So yeah, these are the things that, you know, collectors need to really think about in the end of the day when they want to like scream, "Oh, Hasbro sucks because we don't do this and we don't do that." You know,
Well,
if
you know, to give a shout out to Marauder and to, you know, Foosh, Articulated
the
Icons,
con,
Pablo,
yes. Hmm.
hardcore collector, very
I
proud of
tip
what he
my
did.
hats off to you guys for those ninjas
Yeah.
because I'm addicted.
Yeah. Me too, man. But when we look at that, I mean, those things go for like anywhere from 30 to
What's going on?
$80 for some of these things,
Yes,
depending on if you got in at the Kickstarter, if you got in after the fact.
yeah, I got into the Kickstarter. There's my bro right there. But yeah, when Articulated Icons did the ninjas, they were like 50, depending on the deluxe figure, it was like $55 a pop, and then
Mhm.
$32 for the basic figure. And then when they released them, and then when it went to eBay, that that they were like $100 per figure.
Right.
Insane, and that's in the secondary market, and people wants to pay that. But I think that's insane for those prices.
But you could customize your
Is it?
6
Yeah,
Snake
you
Eyes and
can.
Storm Shadow, which is like a dream.
It's very true. Very true. Um, but again, you know, this is a smaller company who have more power and control of what they can do. And then if a collector has that kind of scratch to pay into it, then by all means, let them pay into it, you know?
Mhm.
Yeah.
How does Hasbro feel about, say, Marauder and Articulated Icons with what they've done, knowing that that product is, I don't want to say infringing, but that it's kind of somewhat riding the coattails of their property with GI Joe?
I wouldn't say as articulated icons, I wouldn't say that. But if you look at the line,
Mhm.
that line isn't really, you know, kind of. It's not based upon GI Joes. It's not based upon any type of characters. It's its own separate entity. But with the White Ninja, there is ways to I will say to alter it to make it look like a
Right.
certain Cobra Ninja.
Customize it.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And you know, Hasbro has no issues with people taking their toys and garnering money and toys and making customs
Right.
of their favorite Joe characters. It's their money. It's, do what you want with their toys in a sense, They don't feel like Marauders or Articulate Icons is competing against them in those properties because they're not GI Joes. Now, if they said Marauders Task Force is a task force fighting evil organization called Slither or some shit like that, then we may have an issue. Then a cease and desist order maybe upon John's door, but
Right.
it's not. So they're not competing. It's not competing. We're all in this together in a sense,
No, that's
So
awesome.
yeah,
That's good. But
So
now, what about like Toy World, MMC, Fans Toys? Is that on Hasbro's radar?
it's
Are
on
they
it's
buying
on it's
it?
on Takara and Hasbro's radar. But
Uh-huh.
unfortunately, there's not much they can do because that is based overseas. It's an overseas market, and in a sense, the laws and the regulations of IP tech and IP intellectual properties and all of that stuff is differently how it works in the United States. They
Right.
can get so that's why you see that's why if you go to a convention in China, convention in China, you see Wei Jan, Optimus Prime, and the Wei Jan, Aerobots booth there, and then 5 booths down, there's the Hasbro booths with their Transformer Masterpiece stuff in their display cases, and they can't say shit about it because the law is different.
Right.
You know, and sometimes we feel like we want to throw a brick through their fucking display case because for copying us, but there's not much you can do about it.
But you'd
It,
never see it here at Toy Fair
you
in
will not
Kansas
see
City
that
every
shit
year.
here. That won't fly
Yeah.
by because if let's say Raul decides to make a transformer line, and he's made it, and his car transforming robots or transforming bots or transfor droids. Let's call them transfor droids, and and he has the good guys and the bad guys, and they all look like Optimus Prime and the Autobots and the Decepticons. You better believe that cease and desist order will be knocking on his door.
Yep.
You know, so, but because the rules are different here, unfortunately.
Right. Hence all the third-party companies that are, you know, blatantly copying
Blatant copy. It's
are
and
all
the thing
overseas.
also, and another thing too, it's artist interpretation. It's not full out copying. They also look at it. It's like, well, they're not. Now, let's say if they took Hasbro's outright designs, took it, made it under, and to say this is our own Transformers, and this is our Transformers, and sell it that way, then they can't do that because that would be considered a knockoff, and that
Right.
is full on copying, and then we can shut it down. You know, but
Yeah.
that's not the case. Their own tooling, their own molds, their own designs, just based on characters that Hasbro owns the trademark names and the likenesses. We can make them look like it, but they're not because they third party can make it look like it, but it's not necessary it. Okay, dude, go ahead. Go
Yeah,
see
no
her. Go
logos.
ahead, buddy. There you go. No logos. Yes, exactly. Nothing. No trademark logos on it and stuff like that.
Now we've all heard rumors of the cease and desist that came up with a certain third-party company. Did do you know anything about that, or can you,
You
or
know,
can you not
I
talk about
I
that?
can't speak much about it, but no, the cease and desist order that they were showing on the Facebook groups, that wasn't a real cease and desist order. So
Mhm.
whoever made that photoshopped it and altered it to make it look like that was the case because Hasbro can't send a cease and desist order overseas to somebody. I mean, if they try,
Right.
who are they going to send it to? Who? Who is the name? Who is the person? Cease and
Right.
desist order to make toys to a warehouse in Shanghai somewhere. If
Looking
it's
for a
in
guy named
Shanghai,
Keith with a cowboy hat.
right, exactly. So Keith, if that's Keith's real name,
Right.
if that is his real name, we don't even know for sure. Keith could be his dog, and on
Right.
based upon his dog's name. So we don't know. So for them to send it to something, it's just gonna be a wild goose chase. They could send it, but it's gonna come out empty handed. You know.
That's right. So, and when you're looking at that as collectors, we really get to reap the benefits. We've got, the official licensed property version of the product. We can get
Mhm.
anywhere from, you know, the basic versions up until the masterpieces, Hasbro and Takara. And on the other side of the coin, you've got the third party world, if that's the route you choose to pursue. That's got potentially a different line of characters, different variations of the same property and such. So rather than fight over it and piss and moan about it and scream at each other over which one's better, just enjoy it all.
I agree. I buy what you buy, like what you like. And, I just want to drive home one thing. We're all in this together. We all love this. We love this hobby. If it's from Pokemon to GI Joe to Masters of the Universe to Transformers to Thundercats to Silverhawks. Collect what you want to collect. I don't. I hate when somebody say, "Well, third party is better than Hasbro, and Hasbro is better than third party." It's all different. It's oranges, bananas. But if you
Right.
people want to be technical about it, and it's not just because I'm saying this because I am the employee of a corporate H. Hasbro was first. It's gonna be here, and it's gonna be here to when you guys die, and your children's gonna be around, hopefully. And these
Right.
third-party companies, they're like a thief in the night. They may be here today, they may be gone tomorrow, and another company will come in and try to steal the thunder of another design or another IP or whatever like that. So again, they're coming up with amazing stuff from a designer aspect point of view. I can say third party has some wonderful toys and wonderful products. But in the end of the day, remember where it comes from, where that legacy comes from. Comes from Company H, baby. Just remember that, guys.
Legacy and longevity. I like it. I like it.
Exactly.
What else do you want to share about any projects or anything that you've been involved with, things you're proud of, things you just want to shout out, drive home?
Um,
Legends, Star Wars, anything. 6-inch GI Joe. I
nah,
can pray. I can
you,
pray.
you can pray. I've been praying too, man. I
Yeah.
wish I had the scratch, then I can give somebody a couple of $100 under the table and say, "Hey, let's get this thing going," or something. You know what I mean? But um, I'm proud of what I do. Sometimes it doesn't come out execute the way that we want to execute. You know, but we are proud of the work that we put in, and we are human beings. We have feelings. We're not just a machine that produce stuff.
Right.
We spend hours upon hours of time perfecting it the way that you like the figures, like popping out of the comic books or from the movies or from TV. Um, it's not going to be 100% to everybody's eyes. But think about it when you look at it and you saw huffing and puffing because the color wasn't to your expectations. I would like to see what you guys can do. You know,
Hmm.
if you can do better, by all means, do show me what I can show me what I don't know how to do. I got almost 20 years of experience in my pocket. If you can show me something from the 20 years that I don't know, by all means, I'm a sponge. I will soak it up. But until then, I'm not trying to be rude. Shut the fuck up. Enjoy the goddamn toy. This is what we did. We didn't when we were 8 and 10 years old, Brian. We didn't look at a fucking toy and say, you know what, the paint applications could be better, or
Right.
the articulations is not working for me. I don't like the butterfly joint, or it needs an elbow joint. We didn't do that. We loved it. Our eyes glazed. It was the best thing since Christmas morning,
Right.
getting in smelling that fresh new toy, that plastic and the cracks and the squeaks, and that shit is the tight joints, and those things I can understand. You don't want to come out a new toy that it's floppy, like
Right.
like I understand that completely. That's quality control issues, but sometimes you guys like to nitpick. Enjoy what you have. It's like they want instant gratification, that instant
Yeah.
high once they get it, and then they get it and they're like, okay, on to the next thing. Enjoy
Yeah.
the toy. Why spend so much on something that you're going to shit on it and just be angry at it? Enjoy it, guys. Have fun. Love each other, man. It's all good, baby. It's all good.
Yeah, man, I agree with you. You guys have made some solid innovations, like you said, the 3D printing, just the investment in talent. I mean, H has to have, there has to be many more other faceless agent of
There
H
are
types
there
with
are
no one like you.
plenty. There are plenty like people from Four
Right.
Horsemen who used to did figures for them, and shout out to Boss Fight Studios. Those guys used to do a
Yeah.
lot of GI Joes and other Marvel Studios, and they're doing their own thing now. And there's a lot more talented people that come on board. If Hasbro is on the forefront with innovation and new technologies and toys, and it may sound like a cliche, like saying something stupid like in a tech company or like in a Microsoft commercial or whatever, but it's true. It shows in the products. It shows over the years that we want engineers. People who have engineers. We have fucking engineers with engineer degrees who worked in fucking NASA
Right.
and all the stuff who make shit possible, man, for these transformations and to make something so plastic to be on your doorsteps and the toy shows, the shelves and stuff like that you know but people don't see that. You guys see it as just a hunk of plastic that's in a box or on a blister card or on a rack in Target. But it's something more than that, and it's more from the design, from the packaging to the layouts to distribution to warehouse to shipping
Mhm.
to brick and mortar. It's all a process you got to think of. And also to make people happy, and not just, collectors, standards and practices and
Sure.
things in that, to make sure, these things are legit. It's not going to offend, religious people or just normal other or any other people and stuff like that. It's just
Right.
a lot of things we have to worry about. Third party, again, doesn't have to worry about that. But again, in the end of the day, this let's third party, major corporation, doesn't matter what brand, GI Joe, Transformers, SWAT cats, Scooby Doo, whatever you collect it, love it, enjoy it.
You know what, man? I appreciate the fact that you took the time to educate all of us in the
Oh,
realm
my
out there.
pleasure, my pleasure.
And I hope we can do more of these in the future. I think it's great. It'd be nice to one day maybe see some more interaction out at some of these conventions. I mean, I don't know what the legalities and such for that are, but I think it's important that collectors know it's not a competition. There's apples, oranges, bananas, kiwis. It's all good.
It's all good. I mean, like maybe back then, 20 years ago, it was maybe a competition, and um, uh, companies will hold IPs tight, like Marvel, like DC Comics and stuff like that. Look, it's amazing to see like a company, let's say Hot Toys, will make Marvel figures and DC figures at the same time, as
Right.
well Mezco, because they're sharing the license, and Shig Figure Arts, Bandai, and none of these other companies are or have shared licenses with us who's making Star Wars and Marvel and DC figures as well. But as well with that, it's a different market. Shig Figure Arts is covering the Asian markets while we cover the US markets, and plus, it's a different style of figures as well. People like Japanese import style of figures, so they collect that. People like American figures. And you'd be surprised that the Asian markets who, love Hasbro Marvel Legends figures. They like, our figures. And
Right.
it's a damn crime and a shame that a lot of those figures is not available for the Asian markets. A lot of Asian people will have to travel and buy it here or ship it back or buy, and they have to pay import prices as if we pay import prices for their Japanese toys. It's
I
all
think
the
it's
same.
again another interesting point. People tend to look at Medicom and Figure Arts as third-party companies, but
But they're not.
really they're not. They're licensed, official licensed
Mm-hmm.
products companies. Giving, like you said earlier, another version that maybe Hasbro is not pursuing.
Mm-hmm.
Another version of the line, and that's important. That gives you the diversity that you need. Hot Toys, same thing, same thing. Yeah, that's a good point. That's a good point. That's listening to their demographic.
Mm-hmm.
So awesome. I appreciate the time. I know you probably have to go back under the cover of darkness in the depths of the Northeast, wherever you may be transmitting from.
Yes,
But,
yes, yes. Got to get back to the slave pit and
yeah,
back to
yeah,
work.
man. Well, thanks for the passion. Thanks for keeping it real, and thanks for keeping it on the realm.
My pleasure, guys. Again, R.O.C. for life, baby. Rum.
ROC for life, realm. All right, we'll talk to you soon.
Later, guys.
Take care.
Take care.
All right, folks. I'm Steel. Thanks for listening. Thanks for checking us out. Like us, love us, savor us, visit us at a con, start up your local ROC chapter, and keep it in the realm.